hardly a Roman chariot, but not what you'd imagine as a racing machine either. It's a Vauxhall Cresta, and this model was the first winner of an event that's grown into the most important motor race in Australia. It's now known as the Howdy Ferodo 500. It's had other names, the Armstrong 500, the Gallagher 500, and two homes, Phillip Island and Bathurst. Despite the changes, the event has stayed true to its original concept, a 500-mile race for standard production cars. It's unique, the only one of its kind in the world. It was, and still is, divided into classes according to price. In fact, it's only in the last 5 years or so that an outright winner has been recognised. Since the first race, way back in 1960, there's been a variety of winning cars and people. My name's Evan Green. Join me for the next hour, and we'll meet some of the characters and see some of the incidents and talk about the future of a race we call the Fabulous 500. The first three races were held at Phillip Island, Victoria. They were purely class affairs, and the classes were based on price. There was no award for first across the line, and the cars were even started in groups, big cars first. This was the 1960 start. First across the line in that first race, with Frank Code as co-driver, was John Roxburgh.
Well, it's hard to think back, of course. 1960's 12 races ago now, but I remember we had a good car and I had a good co-driver. We were very lucky, and I think that anyone that wins a 500 has to be lucky. The opposition all fell over and we were quicker. I think it was a good track, a good day. The only thing that happened, we hit a seagull, I think. We ran out of brakes, and it seems a long time ago. It's probably the last amateur 500, I suppose. That's the way I'd look back on it now. I've been in most of them since, and I think it's the last amateur one we're ever in. And we're probably the first people to have a professional pit crew, I suppose. It's probably what set the race going from where it is to where it is now, is that it had a fair impact on sales. In our particular case, we were driving a Vauxhall Cresta, and they didn't have many Vauxhall Crestas to sell, since discovered, and they ran out of them very quickly, and they were very happy, so I suppose they were the first happy sponsor. It has to be a first for everyone. There's been an awful lot of unhappy ones since, but the next 2 years, of course, things got more tough, and we drove Vauxhalls both times, Frank Code and I, and the second year, I think it'd be 61, I crashed the damn thing, and it took about 11 or 12 minutes to get it going again, and we lost the race by about 3/4 of a minute, I think. And the following year, Cody crashed it, so we ended up all pretty even on that score. And we were driving a better car in some ways, but we had some front-end problems. Of course, over those last 2 years, the track got terribly rough, and it was like the Red X trial. And what happened was that people began to have troubles which you don't normally have motor racing. It was more like motor trialing. Holes this deep came in the track, and we were one of that fell by the wayside because of that. And basically, that's what happened to the race, I suppose. That's why it came to Bathurst in the beginning. The track got cut up so badly in the last event at Phillip Island that the club couldn't repair it, and it actually put the track out of existence for, I suppose, about 5 or 6 years. And that's why it moved up to Bathurst.
Bathurst, west of the Blue Mountains, already had a long tradition of motor racing. The city's Mount Panorama Circuit, a 3.8-mile scenic loop road, had been used before the war, in the days when the surface was unsealed. This 150-mile race in 1938 was won by Englishman Peter Whitehead at an average of 66.2 miles per hour. It was brave motoring. 1963, and the circuit was first closed for the 500. On the grid were 56 cars, 16 different makes, either made or assembled in Australia. The race was still run, officially at least, purely in classes, and the 63 race saw a classic scrap between two cars in the cheapest price category. It was like this for lap after lap. As the race drew to a close, Lindsay Little was driving the Morris 850 and Barry Ferguson was in the VW. Here's how our commentators called it in 1963.
23 has 2 to go, and there they go, the two cars together, 55 and 54. 2 laps to go. Oh, a lot of traffic on the corner this time. Oh, a very close vice there for a moment with the, it looks like the Valiant. Yes, it was. And then, oh, on the inside there goes Ferguson in the Volkswagen. He's taken the lead again. Now, there he is.
For the third time, Bob Jane and Harry Firth were in the winning car, this time a Cortina GT, but the real drama was to happen behind the leader as Jane crossed the line. So near. Little in the Mini had hit the fence on the last bend of the last lap. He managed to finish, but a little chastened. In 1964, Bob Jane made it 4 in a row, driving this time with George Reynolds. His old partner Harry Firth was third. For years, Studebaker Larks had carried the flag for big cars, leading in the early stages but breaking wheels and suffering generally from overweight. People were saying that Bathurst was not a circuit for big cars.